Okay, everyone, I hope all of you are doing well, and I hope all of you had a chance to understand what we did yesterday. If some of you find what we are teaching overwhelming, it is okay. Take your time. It is okay if you're finding it difficult. Try to follow what we are trying to do in the workshop. Programming at times for health professionals can be overwhelming, but that is totally fine. हम सारे के सारे सेशंस आपसे गूगल ड्राइव की थ्रू शेयर करते जाएंगे। कल का सेशन हमारा रिकॉर्ड हुआ है। अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो अपलोड नहीं हो सका था क्योंकि वो कल बैंडविड्थ बहुत कम थी। अभी वी बिकॉज इट्स अ 3 आवर सेशन, इट्स अ वेरी बिग वीडियो, सो वी विल अपलोड यस्टरडे सेशन टुडे सेशन टुगेदर ऑन गूगल ड्राइव, सो यू गाइस कैन एक्सेस फ्रॉम देयर एज वेल। और वो गूगल ड्राइव पे ही रहेंगी तो वहाँ से दे वोंट बी रिमूव फ्रॉम देयर, सो यू गाइस कैन यूज इट फ्रॉम देयर एनी टाइम यू लाइक। बाकी ये कि just a word of advice for all of you. In case you are working with Python, in case you're having a problem, in case you're working in artificial intelligence, you're trying to develop a project of artificial intelligence, or you're trying to do data analysis or visualization using Python or R, just drop by to my office, Ibn Rizwan building, first floor, west wing. That's where my office is, and you guys can also contact me on my extension 4805. And obviously we have the WhatsApp group, so you can just type any question you have in the WhatsApp group and I can answer. And then there are 45 more people like you who can also answer that question. So the important thing is that we have created this group, ये WhatsApp group, and I want all of you to join that group primarily because we want कि आपको कोई support mechanism हो even after the workshop ends, and primarily because कि आगे जाके हम जो projects develop करें CHS के अंदर, community health के अंदर, and across health spectrum in AKU and also in Pakistan, we want you guys to play a role in those projects and maybe become the project lead if that is something of an interest to you. And furthermore, if you guys are writing a grant and in that grant you want to introduce a component of artificial intelligence, so then if you require some help with that, we can also help you with that. So grant writing ke andar, we can help you write the grant specifically with the component of artificial intelligence in it, or a component of entrepreneurship, which is business development in it. So you guys can reach out to us. You can primarily reach out to me. मेरा email address तो आप सबके पास है ही, hasan.nawaz@edu. Apart from that, you all of you have my cell number because वो group के अंदर you can see my cell number, so you guys can join me from there as well. So I hope this is helpful. So now what we'll do is that we will start by recapping what we did yesterday, and let's see who can show us any of the homework. So randomly, if anyone would like to go ahead and tell us if they developed, say, a better calculator, or if they identified a function or for healthcare specifically in on Google, and if they can share it through PyCharm. So you can share your screen. I'll just stop sharing my screen and let's just have a brief recap of yesterday, and then we move forward from there. Okay, would anyone like to share a laptop, a calculator that they have built that is actually different from what we had discussed yesterday? If you have, then that is great. If not, no problem. Let's see. Would anyone like to share their screen and showcase to us something that they have developed? Also, if anyone would like to showcase any function that they found on Google that is healthcare centric. If no one is gonna share, then I'm gonna maybe ask a few people. If that is fine, I just don't like to do that to point towards anyone, but I think um, so. Yeah, anyone, any function that is applied in healthcare, a simple function that you would like to share through PyCharm. Other than that, if there is any better calculator that you have created, you can share your screen. Um, Okay, so I don't think anyone of you has done that. So, okay, so let's just do something. Let's start with today's session and then we'll discuss as we move along. Okay, if you have a question, you can ask in the middle, you can stop in the middle, not an issue. Just raise your hand and ask the question. So, um, like I said, we'll be sharing the recordings of yesterday and today together today. So, that will be available for all of you. One second, please. Just. Sorry about that. So, let me just share the screen. Okay, so let us just let me, if you guys weren't there, let me just recap what we did yesterday. So, yesterday, what we did was that we had started off previously on day one, we just identified what were the different data types in Python, right? That is what we did on day one, right? On day two, we then went into different ways of storing data. So, data storage types. How do you store data in Python? So पहले हमने data types की थी फिर ये so we can store data in the form of list, we can store it in the form of tuples. Then once you through that, then what we did was we started working with functions. Now how do you apply this data? And then when we started off with functions, then we understood what return function was in a function. Then we understood what if statements are. We worked with Boolean operators. And so then we worked with if statements. Then we also worked with comparison operators. And that's how we conclude yesterday by building a better calculator. So that was yesterday. Now today what we're going to do is that we're going to up the game. Like I said, every next day we will increase the level of skill that you guys have. So that is why it is very important then that once we do something on a singular day, you please recap it once you go back home. And you guys already have all 4 day presentations and also the recordings of the previous workshop of December as well is available online for all 4 days. Simultaneously, अगर आप हमारी presentation में जाएंगे तो just to give you a recap, so the 4 day presentation which is available online, उसके अंदर you guys will find these at the end of the presentation, which is basically these online learning tools at the end of the presentation. In these online learning tools, if you guys go to this Python basics course on, there's a website by Mike Dane, and there's also a YouTube video. These are very long videos, but you don't have to worry about it. You can do specific things from these. Mike Dane is basically the inspiration behind the kind of workshop that we have created, because he has created very simple, easy to understand courses, and we have tried to emulate that in this course as well. And then you would find, apart from that, other links as well, like what are the basic concepts of coding. So you and then or how to do data analysis using Python. So for data analysis using Python, um, there are certain videos for data frames, how to use anacondas, what is object oriented programming in Python, what is Flask. So there are tutorials that I've purposefully left it here so that you guys can go through them yourselves. So data frames again, a comprehensive Python. So this is a great website, Guru 99. There's another W3 school. You guys can just go through these websites and they are very small tutorial, 5 minute, 6 minute tutorials, and you guys can learn Python in case you miss out on anything as well. So these are very comprehensive tutorials that will give you the basics that you need for understanding how to do data analysis using Python. In case even if you missed something in the workshop, I'm saying this because what I realized was that a lot of you had a issue in catching up from yesterday, and like I said, day four will be the heaviest. So I want you guys to recap everything before day four so that when we enter into day four, you guys are ready for it. Okay, so today we'll start off by another data arrangement which is called as dictionaries. It's a way of storing data, and then we'll go and work on loops. So we'll start working with while loops. We'll build a big guessing game with while loops. Then we'll work with for loops. Then we'll understand what exponent functions are. Then we'll develop a two-dimensional list or array, which is basically similar to a data frame, which is used for data analysis. Then we'll build our own translator, our own language, and then we'll work out what comments are. We'll also do some things. It's not in here. We are gonna work with few things, which is try and accept what is that statement in Python, what is reading a file in Python, and what is writing a file in Python, and that's how we end today. Okay, so let's start with the first thing. The first thing is dictionaries. Okay, so what is a dictionary? A dictionary is basically a key value pair. What does that mean? Well, it's a way of storing data. How a dictionary is written? They are written in the form ke first, number one, you create a variable. So you give it a name, say I give it XYZ. Then obviously we know that with variables, we always put an equal to sign. Then we open the variable with a curve bracket, and then we close the variable with the curve bracket. Now within this variable, if you are working, say, with key value match pairs. So we write something, for example, say we write a key, say, and the meaning of that key, the value of that key is this. So the key is Jan, and the value of this is the whole January written. It has to be in the middle of it has to be a colon. Say, so you open quotation marks, you close quotation marks. This is the key. Then you put in what you put in colons, and then after the colon, open quotation mark, close quotation mark, this is the value. And then after this you put a comma, like a comma here, and then you write the other key and the other value, and then you go on and on. You can have millions of key value match pairs. Just like we have list in which we use the square bracket. Here we are working with dictionaries. Dictionaries are quite oftenly used in data frames. Data frames are used for data analysis. We'll create a data frame on day four, so don't worry about it. So what we'll do today is that we're just going to create a key value match pair. So what I'll do is I'll take you guys to the IDE, which is the PyCharm integrated development environment. So let me just stop sharing this and open up my PyCharm. If you have not opened up your PyCharm, now is the time to open up PyCharm. My PyCharm is just opening up. Give me a second. Okay, so you guys can see PyCharm. So I'll just clear this up. What I'll also do is from the presentation, I'll just copy paste the dictionary for you guys. First, I'll just copy paste it here because let me combine it together so that you don't have an issue. And so here you go. So basically, we created a variable in which we are converting months so into a month conversion. So basically, say we run this. So what is basically happening here is gonna say November. What's basically happening? We created a variable, right? And this variable is basically a dictionary. So whenever we write the variable name first, and then we write equal to sign, then we open up the dictionary, and then we wrote down the first key, then followed it with a colon, and then we then applied a value to it, and then after the value a comma sign, and you can see that the comma is in orange. So like I told you guys yesterday, the comma is some anything that is in orange color. It means that Python recognizes it as a command. So it basically tells Python, okay, whatever that follows it is going to be something new, and it will not be attached to the key value match pair before it. Similarly, whenever anything is put in quotation marks, it comes as green. It means that Python recognizes this as a string. And then after the this is over, after the dictionary is over, we close it with a curved bracket, and then say we print. So we want to print something. We want to print this variable, which is the month conversion. We print it, and in that, in the index position, we write ke bhai, tell us what is at index position nov. So this is index position nov, November, which is the short form of November. So the output that we get is November. So we are basically putting in the key, and we are getting in the output. Now you guys can change it to any other thing. I'll do it just now. Let me just share it with you guys in the chat box so that you guys can apply it. You guys can do it yourself, type it yourself as well. So say I want to change this. So what I'll do is, okay, let me create another variable. So I create a variable called as hospital abbreviation. I just want to keep it small, the HOS ABV abbreviation, right? Put a equal to sign to it. And then because obviously I want to create this as a dictionary, so I will put in the curve bracket, I will press enter. And the moment I press enter, is gonna, you see, it is giving me this indentation. Now what I'll do is I'll open the quotation marks. I will write, say, AKU, and I'll write in small AKU. Then I'll put a colon sign after it. And then after that, I'll open the quotation marks and I'll write Aga Khan University. What I'll do is I'll press enter, and then I'll open quotation mark again, and I'll write LNH, right? And then I will put in the colon, then quotation mark again, Harvard National Hospital. I will develop another one. You can, so we can call this as, say, any other hospital. So J JPMC, because you want to give it a match pair. So we will call it Jinnah Postgraduate Medical Center. And then we close the bracket. Now, okay, so we got this quotation mark wrong. So if we say run this hospital HOSP ABV, and in that we write down say LNH, we run this. Just keep all this as small. If we run this, let me just clear this up. Let's see what we are doing wrong with the dictionary. That's why it's not opening up. Line 3 has an issue. It's showing, it's not recognizing this colon. For some reason. Okay, let me just use one variable in it, right? So I'm going to print this. Okay, so I created a simple variable, and the variable is basically a dictionary in which we are using hospital abbreviations for hospital full names. We start off with AKU. After AKU, say you want to put JPMC. So check what happens. Showcasing error with this. So we have an issue. This normally, oh yeah, I understand मैंने क्या गलती की. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm not putting the comma as I was showcasing over there. Yeah, you need to put in comma. अब सब हो जाएगा. Jena post graduate. Sorry, हाँ मैं वो यही होता है. This happens when you're working with code, and you can see just a small thing as small as a comma can ruin your life. So quotation mark and an H. And then I put in Calcutta National Hospital. And then I run say LNH. So you see now if I type in the key, it gives me the value of that key. Now dictionaries are great when you're storing information because they help you. For example, say you can create a whole directory of hospitals. So whenever we want to write something and we want um, Python not to act on it, so we write a hash sign, and then after the hash sign we can write, so this is a directory of hospitals in Karachi. If I write this, it's just written in simple English. Look, nothing will happen to the code. Why? Because Python recognizes कि जिस भी चीज़ के पीछे आप hash लिख देते हैं, you don't necessarily have to worry about it. So that's basically, this is one way of storing information. जैसे कल हमने use किया था, we applied list. We today learned what are key value match pairs. what are basically dictionaries. And then obviously you can replace, say, AKU with anything. You can replace it with a number. So one is this, two is this, and three is this. So say I'm creating directory and I just write on here three. It's gonna print out three. The value of three is LNH. So you can also do coding of stuff here using dictionaries. So dictionaries are just a way of storing data. But remember, after every key value match pair, you need to put in a comma sign. You can also, within this dictionary, you can have a list. So you can have list included in this. But then you should know that after, oh, right. So and each of these lists can then have key value match pairs. So for example, they can have 1B, so 1B colon, and say I write CHS department, and here I write 1B. So the issue is that we are not using, so commas are there. We can apply list as well in this. So let's just stick with using dictionaries as a whole. So let's just stick with that and not use list for now. Let's just keep it simple. Okay. So you can replace keys with numbers or whatever. So if I run this, ये अब भी run हो जाएगा because so you're doing something wrong. Jeez. So you need to keep the keys in a similar fashion. That's one thing, and then the values can be as different as you want them to be. But in essence, key value match pairs, like what I've shared in the chat with you guys, is from so you provide a key, and that key has a value. That value basically contains what is in the key. So this is one way of storing information in Python. Just showcase to you guys over here. I'll share this key with you here as well in the chat box. So here you go. Okay, so let me stop sharing the IDE and take you guys back to the presentation. Okay, so next we will understand loops. Now, what are loops used for, right? So loops are primarily used for a few things. Number one, we have two types of loops. One is for loop, sorry. So one we have for loop, other we have while loops. So for loops, they are in essence used when we already know the number of iterations that we want to have. So the number of times, iteration means the number of times we want to run a code. The number of times you want to run the code. So we have a specific function. Say I wrote a function and I will run it, say, 4 times. So I know the number of iterations. That's where we apply for loops. For while loops, on the other hand, is used when the number of iterations are not known, but we want this loop to achieve a certain target. So to achieve a certain result. So yeah, in that case, we apply while loops. Now, While loops, they depend on conditions. Unless a condition turns true and false, like जो हमने booleans कल देखे थे, we don't necessarily apply. We don't necessarily stop the loop from working. Now, for loops, they depend on elements that they have to iterate. For loop iterates with number declared in the range. So with for loop, we actually tell the code, you need to run this code again and again for this much amount of time. Now, let's see a while loop example. We'll go through examples, and then iterate means to repeat something. Iteration is basically, ये simple English का word है, इसका coding से ताल्लुक नहीं है. Iteration in essence means to repeat. So where are loops used? Loops are used in machine learning. Why? Because say machine learning uses a trial and error approach. We want to come up to the best possible solution with a specific data set. So we run the data set again and again, again and again, again and again, till we eventually come to the result where we get the combination, which is the best combination. So now, best combination based on the parameters that we are given to the programming language. So let's look at while loop and let's run it once. So we can literally run a block of code multiple times. How? So we create a variable, we call it I is equals to 1, right? We gave it a value 1, right? And then we tell Python, apply while loop. While, once you write while is going to turn orange, it means that Python understands that this is like a function, this is like a command. And then we say apply while loop to I, and then we use a comparison operator जो हमने कल learn किया था comparison operator में, when I is less than and equal to 10. So when the value of I, हमने पहले value of I बता दी, इसको 1 है, and we say keep on running I till the value of I reaches this, till the value of I reaches 10, and then we tell Python to print I. So जब हमने इसको बोला print I, तो is gonna print what? Is gonna print I, and I की value क्या है? 1. So basically is gonna print 1. सही है? And then we tell Python plus equals to 1. Plus equals to 1, we say, so once you print I, then you add in it 1 every time. So Python understands that the value of I is 1, and then Python also knows that it's going to run I till the value of I reaches 10. Is going to what we want this while loop to do is that we want it to print I. So it's going to print I, and then it's going to add 1 into I. So first it's going to print 1, and then it's going to add 1 into I, which basically means I की value of 1 is going to add this 1 into 1. So first is going to print 1, then it's going to print 2, then repeat होगा, then it's going to print 3 until it reaches 9, and then it will stop. सही है? And then after that it's going to print done with loop. Why? Because हमने इसके नीचे print किया, once you execute this while loop, after this while loop, then you execute this command of print, which is done with the loop. So it will go till 9. So let's just try this. I'm just going to share it with you guys. Here you go in the chat box. ये अब while loops are used basically primarily when we are working with machine learning, artificial intelligence के तो बहुत ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल होते हैं. And loops are also used when we are programming with when we are working with, say, um, in developing an app on Java or something. वहाँ भी loops इस्तेमाल होते हैं. Loops programming बहुत इस्तेमाल होते हैं. I hope all of you can see my IDE. So देखिए इस IDE में क्या क्या, I created a variable, I named it I, and in that variable what I did was I first created the variable, I gave it a value of 1, and then I said, by run this loop till the value of I becomes equal to 10. So you run it till it reaches 10, and you print I, and then every time that you print I, you add 1 in it. सही है? and then I say print the loop. So if I do this, see what happens in the console. So I'm just going to raise this so that you guys can see the console. So I run it and see what happens. It first prints 1, then 1 plus 1, it goes back, prints 1 again, 2, then 2 plus 1, 3, until it reaches 10. And at 10 it stops, and then जब ये loop खत्म हो गया, then it prints whatever that you want to print after the loop, which is done with the loop. Now यहाँ पे तो मैं इसको बोल रहा था ना, every time you add 1, what if I say every time you add 3? So he's going to do that. He's going to say 1, adds 3 in it, 4, adds 3 in it, 7, and then adds 3 in it, 10, and then it's going to say done with the loop. So this is basically for loop, while loop that we are applying here. With an indefinite number of times we can apply the loop. Now you guys can do so many things with while loops, and you guys can Google today how while loops can be used. I'm teaching you a very basic level of while loop. You guys can make as complex while loops as you can. um, Say I want to tell Python, well, the value of I want you to stop it when it reaches 5. So say what's going to happen. So it prints Python prints 1, and then it adds 3 in it, and then we get 4, which is less than 5. Then it prints again. Now 4 plus 3 is 7. It comes here and Python says no, it's going to stop because the value is more than 5. And then it's just going to print done with the loop. And I can take this to say 10,000 or any other number arbitrary. It's just going to go on and on and on. You may cut it on press. You guys can see that. So the loop goes on and on and on and on and on. It's going to execute. And say I uh, wanted to reach a point which is basically this, just for the sake of fun. And if I run this, every time it adds 3, it goes on and on and on. It will keep running till it reaches this. It continues to run हो रहा है code. कभी भी run हो रहा है. And it will stop. अभी देखिए 20s में आया है, इसको जाना है यहाँ तक. So I'm just gonna kill the code. So I'm just gonna stop the code, right? I'm just saying that while loops, they keep running till they achieve the parameter that we want them to achieve. So we tell them do not stop unless you achieve this. That's why ये आपको बार-बार 3 ऐड करे जा रहा है इसमें, सही ना? And that's what happens. Okay, so I'm just gonna kill this. Go back to the presentation. So today I want you guys to go back and learn how to apply for loops in healthcare. Okay, so the next thing what we're going to do is that we're going to build a guessing game using loops. Okay, so what we'll do first is that we'll create a variable and sorry, yeah, okay, so we'll create a variable and we'll call the variable as secret word. Okay, and then we'll give the value of the variable as hospital. So unless someone actually predicts this word hospital, the game will go on indefinitely. So it's an indefinite game unless you identify this secret word. So we create a variable, right? And then what we do is that we give it an input. We leave something for input. But what does that mean? We So this is what the user will see. The user will see guess, and then they will see an empty sign, and they have to guess a word, and the secret word that we have is hospital. And then we apply the while loop. So we tell Python that you keep running this, say you keep running guess, and ये जो है ना exclamation is called as a loop guard. A loop guard basically protects the loop, and it keeps the loop running. So it says that, keep running guess until it reaches secret word. Secret word is equal to hospital. So first we create a variable secret word, then we create an input variable called as guess, and उसके आगे हमने ये तो exclamation डाल दिए marks. Okay. नेक्स्ट थिंग हम यहाँ पे वो भी लिख सकते थे, इनपुट करके भी लिख सकते थे. ओके, एंड देन वी पुट अ कोलॉन साइन. जब भी हम वाइल लूप बनाते हैं हम उसके आगे कोलॉन साइन डाल दें, वैसे ही जैसे हम फंक्शन के आगे कोलॉन साइन डाल दें. देन वी से guess is equals to input, and then input can then enter the guess word, and then it is going to print it. So guess में क्या आएगा is equals to input what the enter guess word, and then we'll print. Once the person actually identifies what this is, then we will print UN. So let me go back to the IDE. Let me share this with you as well. Here you go. And I will go back to the ID so you guys can see the ID. I'm just gonna drag it down. पुराना वाला हम loop हटा देते हैं, while loop जो हमने बनाया था simple सा. एक नया while loop है basically, which is a guessing game that we have created. So we tell Python that, well, we want you to use this variable, which is secret word, and the value is hospital. Uh, we want you to use another loop, which is another variable, which is guess, and we allow the user to input a word and guess. Then we apply the while loop, and in that while loop, we say guess is equals to secret word. So you will run guess until you reach secret word, and then you put in a colon. So guess is equals to input, open parenthesis, and yeah, the person will input this. If they are able to input the correct guess word, which is hospital, then it's gonna print UN. So if I run this, there is an error here. Check. Let me just change the secret word to ABC. Simple. अच्छा, ये कोटेशन मार्क्स की इशू है, सॉरी, ये आपको प्रॉब्लम फेस होगी, मैं दोबारा शेयर कर रहा हूँ स्क्रीन. Here you go. Please use the second one that I've shared. You guys can make it on your own as well. So if I run this code, यहाँ पे क्या प्रॉब्लम क्या थी, ये हमने कोटेशन मार्क्स सही नहीं डाले थे, तो मुझे बता भी रहा था कोटेशन मार्क्स सही नहीं है. तो so we create a variable, we gave it a name, then we created a variable guess. So obviously अगर हम यहाँ से ये guess variable हटा देंगे ना, and if we run it, so it's gonna showcase to us an error. Why? Because यहाँ पे हमने ये नहीं बताया इसको कि इनपुट क्या करने हैं. Guess is equals to open and close parentheses. So if I run it here, and then while loops तो apply हो रहे हैं, ये मैं हटा देता हूँ. Okay, so while loop applies here, ये loop guard भी अगर मैं हटा देता हूँ तो it will run. इसको run कर दूँ. लेकिन ये है कि loop guard ज़रूरी होता है when you are working with while loops. So ये it's part of the syntax of Python. क्योंकि देखें जैसे ही मैं loop guard हटाता हूँ ना, वो while loop जो है ना, it won't work. So here you go, and that's why I run it again. So I enter the guess word. Say I enter the guess word blah blah. I say GGG whatever. But मैं वो नहीं लिख रहा हूँ जो चाहिए. Just the moment I write ABC, you win. Because हमने जो condition यहाँ पे put की है while loop, when the while loop, which is the guess variable, which causes which asks the user to input, enter a guess. Unless it reaches the secret word, it is going to go on and on and on. So this is just a simple guessing game. You guys can create so many more games using while loops. You guys can check up on Google. You guys will find many more games. You can learn with that as well. So let me stop sharing here and then go back to the presentation. So let's just recap what we have done so far. We started off today, and then we started with dictionaries. Then we did while loops. Then we built a guessing game. The next thing that we'll do is that we'll start working with. Acha, this is an even bigger guessing game. So what is happening here is, even though we are applying while loops, but then within while loops, what we are doing is that we are also applying not and statements. So this is a bit complex. Um, I'll share the code with you guys. इसके अंदर बेसिकली हो ये रहा है कि फर्स्ट वी आइडेंटिफाई, हमने एक वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया हॉस्पिटल का, देन वही हमने गैस का वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया, देन हमने इसमें एक और वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया गैस काउंट विच इज़ जीरो, एंड देन हमने गैस लिमिट का एक वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया थ्री. सो हमने क्या किया यहाँ पे, बेसिकली हमने यहाँ पे एक लिमिटेशन और डाल दी कि हमने बोला रन द वाइल लूप, राइट, व्हेन द सीक्रेट वर्ड, when the while loop, which is the guess, is equal to the secret word, which is hospital, and it is not what? It is not out of guesses, and it is not equal to out of guesses. Out of guesses क्या है ये रहा. अच्छा, what does that mean? हमने इसका एग्जीक्यूट किया है. इसका एग्जीक्यूशन इस तरह से होता है, if the guess count is less than the guess limit, right? So guess limit क्या है हमारे पास थ्री. So if the guess count, जो भी count है आपने, वो is less than थ्री, then guess is equals to input, enter a guess. So we'll allow the user to enter a guess before three counts. In guess count, every time that a person inputs a count, we add one in it. Else, if that is not the case, we print out of guesses. Say na? And then we say if out of guesses, print you lose. Else you print you win. What does that mean? Well, if the person is guessing correctly, right? So that's written as an exclusion here. So हमने क्या किया है, हमने सबसे पहले एक if statement लगाई, and we said if the input word जो है it is equal to the secret word and it is not out of guesses, then what you will do is that first, if the guess count is less than the guess limit, so you will run and you'll say enter a guess. But if it is not, if that is not less than the guess limit, then you will say print out of guesses. And if the person is out of guesses, you will print you lose. Else you will print you win. इसको और भी डिफरेंट तरीके से बना सकते हैं. If statements can be used based on how the programmer wants to use it, but in essence this is nothing more than just a complex version of the same guessing game. So I'll share the code with you guys here as well. ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स हो रहा है, परेशान मत हो आप इससे. You don't have to worry about it. अंडरस्टैंड, जो मैंने बेसिक आपको गेसिंग गेम सिखाया, बस आपको वो समझ में आना चाहिए. दैट्स इट. If you're having a problem beyond that, it's okay. It's understandable. You guys are working for the first time with Python. So here you go. So यहाँ जो प्रॉब्लम है वो ये हो रही है. So let me share this code with you as well. So say हमारे जो गेस्ट वर्ड है यहाँ पे सीक्रेट वर्ड है हॉस्पिटल. So यहाँ पे मैं लिख देता हूँ हॉस्पिटल. It's gonna say human, right? But if I run this code again, right, and I write down a, now it goes on for three counts, and then it says you lose. Why? Because हमने यहाँ पे डाला हुआ था every time that a person inputs something, you plus one in it, and then you go back and you check whether or not the guess word is equals to the secret word. Say na? In case it is not, and it is not, then you will do two things. And the person is not out of guesses, then you will do two things. You will run the code again. Otherwise, if it is out of guesses, then you will print you lose. So आउट ऑफ गैसेस हमने बता दिए, यहाँ पे हमने फॉल्स रखा है. अगर इसको हम ट्रू कर देंगे ना, तो ये वैसे ही चलेगा नहीं, ऐसे ही बता देगा यू लूज. This is just a bit complex version of the same guessing game. It doesn't really matter if you guys are having a issue with this. कोई मसला नहीं. You guys can create many different games using for loops and while loops, because इनकी खासियत ये है कि these loops, they will keep going on and on. They will keep running the code, and the code can be, ये तो बहुत कम complexity है ना. The code can be as complex as you can. And then if say you don't want to write the code, what you can just do is that you can simply um, uh, work with packages. So लेकिन उसमें भी आपको basic level Python की programming आनी चाहिए जो अभी हम सिखा रहे हैं. Okay, now we're going to go to something called as for loops. Now what happens in for loops is that say we want to apply a for loop. So we will say for. So whenever we are going to write while loop, we always start with while. But then for loop, we start with for. The letter in giraffe to print the letter. So what it's going to do, we have said that, you know what, one letter of giraffe will appear in the console. So we say for, matlab repeat the letter in giraffe. So G, I, R, A, F, F, E. One by one these letters will come in. अच्छा, एक और चीज़ है for, हमने किया index position in range of 5. So we say, we are telling it कि from for index. Index is also a command that is recognized. Index हम बोलते हैं ना पाइथन को, तो पाइथन को हम बोलते हैं जीरो से काउंट करना शुरू कर दो onwards till infinity. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, on and on and on. सही है? So we are telling Python कि apply for loop for index function, for index command in the range 5. In range 5. 5 हमने बोला 5 पाके रुक जाना, एंड देन हमने कोलन की साइन डाली, एंड हमने प्रिंट किया इंडेक्स. सो इट विल प्रिंट आउट द नंबर्स फ्रॉम 0 to 4. सो दैट्स अनदर फॉर लूप, अ वेरी सिंपल फॉर लूप. एक और चीज़ फॉर लूप का एक और एग्जांपल ये है कि से वी लिस्ट, वी प्रिंट अ लिस्ट विच इज़ फ्रेंड्स, वही हसन में विश्वरम जो हमने पहले दिन किया था. एंड देन वी से यूज़ द फॉर लूप फॉर फ्रेंड्स इन फ्रेंड्स print friend the friend. So what we're basically saying ke name one friend within friends is going to do that. So and then we'll go to the Kahoot, and then after the Kahoot we will take a break. आपकी break होगी 4:15 से 4:30. So let's start working with for loops. So I'm just going to share this, copy करके आपके साथ. You guys can apply it yourself. इसी तरह से I'll also share this, and then फिर मैं वहाँ पे आपको करके भी दिखाऊंगा IDE पे. Here you go, and I'll also share this. अगर कोई कभी भी कोई कोड नहीं चलता ना, तो ये कोटेशन मार्क्स आप देख लिया करें, क्योंकि मैं पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन से उठा के आई एम शेयरिंग विद यू गाइस ना. तो पावर पॉइंट में कभी कभी, क्योंकि मैंने पावर पॉइंट में जब कॉपी पेस्ट किया था अपने आईडी से उठा के, तो वो कोटेशन मार्क्स का मसला आ जाता है कभी कभी. तो यू डोंट हैव टू वरी अबाउट इट. कोटेशन मार्क्स सही कर दें तो द कोड विल रन. सो here you go. So what I'll do is कि I will write down for, जैसे मैंने for लिखा, ये इसने आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया, देखिए ऑरेंज हो गया, सही ना, लेटर इन, सो ये इन की कमांड भी रिकग्नाइज कर दे, इन दिस which is basically I write down Balochistan, then I put in a colon, and then write enter, and then I say print, give the value, ये वैल्यू मैं इसी की दे रहा हूँ, तो हमने बोला फॉर द वेरिएबल इन लेटर, तो फॉर वन लेटर में, तो ये हमने इसको अगर रन करूँगा, इसको स्टॉप करके जब दोबारा मैं रन करता हूँ, तो देखिए किस तरह से रन करें, इट says पहले it goes with the first letter, then the second letter, then the third letter, then the fourth, fifth, sixth, and पूरा बलूचिस्तान आ गया. So basically it's repeating it. इसी तरह से अगर मैं इसको बोलता हूँ for, और मैं यहाँ पे letter की जगह पे कर देता हूँ index in, अब जिस तरह से ये इन है ना, इसी तरह से एक और चीज़ है रेंज, इसको भी आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, देखिए रेंज यहाँ पे आ रहा है लिखा, जैसे मैं लिखूँ ना यहाँ पे रेंज, एंड देन आई हैव टू स्पेसिफाई द रेंज, तो रेंज के अंदर मैं मेंशन कर देता हूँ से 900, ये 900 तक जाता रहेगा, प्रिंट इंडेक्स, सो आई से कि यू नो व्हाट, रन द इंडेक्स till you reach 900, it will just go on, देखा, इट्स अ वेरी लॉन्ग लूप, मैं ऊपर तक दिखा देता हूँ आपको जाके, here you go. So it starts with 0, and then it goes to 899, stops at 90. So all of you can see that. अच्छा एक और चीज़ है, फॉर एग्जांपल से हमने बनाया एक नया वेरिएबल है, और हमने उसका नाम रख दिया पेशेंट नेम, PTNAME, से इक्वल टू साइन डाली, एंड पेशेंट्स के हमने नाम लिखे किस तरह से, लिस्ट के अंदर लिखे, सबसे पहले पेशेंट का नाम ABC, फिर हमने लिखा DEF, सॉरी DEF, फिर हमने लिखा XYZ, हम सब के बीच में हमने कॉमा भी छोड़ा है, फिर उसके बाद हमने क्या किया, वी विल से फॉर पेशेंट नेम, इसको हम कर देते हैं एस, राइट, फॉर पेशेंट नेम इन पेशेंट नेम्स, प्रिंट पेशेंट, आई डू दिस, इसने क्या किया, इसने सबसे पहले प्रिंट किया पेशेंट नेम, एक, फिर दूसरा, फिर तीसरा, सो समथिंग लाइक दैट, so it will go on till it achieves the number of times that I wanted to do it. ये for loops are different from while loops. While loops go indefinitely. अब इसकी बहुत सारी examples हैं, you guys can look up online and you guys will understand what it is. That was brief introduction to loops in Python. So uh, हो सकता है this might become overwhelming for some of you. Don't worry about it. बट ये कि लूप्स आपको समझ आने ज़रूरी इसलिए हैं बिकॉज जिसको आप अप्लाई करेंगे मशीन लर्निंग के अंदर, एंड डिक्शनरीज आपको आनी चाहिए बिकॉज डेटा फ्रेम्स डिक्शनरीज के ऊपर बनते हैं, डेटा फ्रेम्स लिस्ट पे बन सकते हैं, डिक्शनरी से बन सकते हैं, इसी तरह से लूप्स आपको आनी चाहिए, एंड देन ऑब्वियसली वी विल गो एंड स्टार्ट वर्किंग विद डिफरेंट एक्सपोनेंट फंक्शंस, and then two-dimensional list arrays हम देखेंगे. So let's go and play Kahoot, and then we'll take a break. Okay, it's 4:05. Let's just play a game. So let me stop sharing. So on third position we have 80. In second position we have Zabina. First position we have Azim. So congratulations, and then in the runner-up we have Vasi and Ma. So thank you so much. So now what we'll do is that we will take a break, and then after the break we'll come back, and then we'll join again. So you guys can take a break till 4:35, and then we'll join at 4:35. If there is any question you want to ask, you guys can ask right now or when you come back, whatever. Sure. Okay. Ask that question right now. ये पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन ऑलरेडी आई होप आप सबके पास फुल प्रेजेंटेशन है वो गूगल ड्राइव के लिंक के ऊपर सब मौजूद है जो हमारी दो रिकॉर्डिंग्स हैं कल की और आज की वो भी सारी शेयर कर देंगे आप लोगों से यू गाइस कैन गो थ्रू दैट एज वेल सो इफ देयर इज एनी क्वेश्चन देन प्लीज़ आस्क सेशन एवेल्युएशन को प्लीज़ फिल करें and then tomorrow is very important because tomorrow we'll work with packages on Python. Basically that is the essence of Python. So we will start working with pandas, we'll start working with a few different packages, and then if say you guys want to go as deep into data analysis after day 4 you can go because you will learn how to use these packages. At this point, think of it like this: what we have covered in 4 days is like a semester in a software development college. So if you're doing software engineering, this would be a semester on Python. So we have in these 4 days, we have first understood what a syntax of Python is. Then we have understood how Python, what kind of data Python uses. Then we have understood what are the data arrangements in Python. Then what we have done is that we have started working with functions, if statements, loops. And now what we are doing is that we are taking all of that with this all understanding. Now we are working with packages that are already available in Python, how to use those packages, how to open up those packages in Python. That's basically what we'll do tomorrow. And once you're done with that, then you can apply any data and open up Python. कल से पहले बस मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है कल आप लोगों ने एनाकोंडास डाउनलोड करना है जो हमने शेयर किया हुआ था आपसे एनाकोंडा आपने प्लीज़ डाउनलोड करना है ये ले मैंने लिंक दोबारा से चैट बॉक्स में भी डाल दिया है इट्स ऑल्सो इन द ईमेल जो हमने दिया था आपको ये 400-500 MBs का है तो प्लीज़ इसको डाउनलोड करके इंस्टॉल करके आइएगा anaconda.com/product/individual ये चैट बॉक्स में लिखा हुआ है so if you click on it and if you go on the page at the lower end of the page you will identify the graphical installer so just download the graphical installer of anacondas इसमें अगर आपका कंप्यूटर 64 बिट है तो वो कर लें 32 बिट है तो वो कर लें नॉर्मली 64 बिट होते हैं ज़्यादा कंप्यूटर्स सो ये अगर आपको नहीं पता आपका कितने बिट है just do 64 bit and then the other thing you have to do is that अगर आपका मैक है तो उसमें मैक का भी ऑप्शन है अगर आप लिनक्स यूज़ करें तो लिनक्स का भी ऑप्शन है सो दैट्स अबाउट इट so if there is any question please do ask that question please fill the session evaluation um, is there anything Nadrapa you would like to add अगर आप लोगों को कोई question है you guys can please ask us that question otherwise if you have filled the session evaluation then you guys can leave please go back home and do practice आप सिर्फ पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशंस खोलें जो हमने पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशंस आपसे शेयर किए हैं उस पर आप प्रैक्टिस करें दैट्स इट द मोर यू प्रैक्टिस कुछ समझना है चीज़ों को गूगल कर लें एवरीथिंग पाइथन की अच्छी बात है एवरीथिंग इज़ ऑन गूगल यू जस्ट start working with Google and you will understand Python is a very easy language so that's about it जो हमारी प्रेजेंटेशन है उसके अंदर भी बहुत सारे लिंक्स हैं आप लोगों के लिए यू गाइस कैन यूज़ दोज लिंक्स एज वेल माइक डेन की अगर आप वेबसाइट खोलेंगे इट्स क्वाइट सिमिलर टू द वर्कशॉप दैट वी आर डूइंग हियर एंड कुछ भी ना समझ में आए तो आप माइक डेन की वर्कशॉप से भी देख सकते हैं इट्स वेरी इजी लिंक मैंने ऑलरेडी दिया हुआ है आपको. So if there is nothing else, then we will end the session today. We got done early at 5:40. So thank you everyone. I hope सबने session evaluation कर दिए. अगर नहीं किए तो प्लीज़ कर दें. Anaconda प्लीज़ आज डाउनलोड करना है सबने. And then we are going to just end the session. So thank you. Allah Hafiz. Take care. Bye bye.